because of Ras Garba of 2019 and 20. And the colors are completely changed.
Hmm.
There is no pattern. Even the illustrations are different.
Yeah.
There is no uniformity which they are following. Not even the same color palettes. Like the color palette of logo is different, and the template is different. And I even found out that these are the templates, free templates that are available on the internet.
Oh, okay. So I guess apart from the logo, there's nothing. There's no
Yeah, original.
synchronicity between. I think that's another thing you guys can look at. That when you guys have events, like, is there an extended color palette or visual language, or do you just break away from the identity completely? I think maybe an intentional sort of decision on that would be nice.
So, ma'am, these are the two design logos. And next slide. So these were the Nirma University print adverts that I looked at, and these are published in Ahmedabad Mirror, Hindustan Times, and Times of India, and etc. And
Yeah.
in cities Mumbai, Surat, Vadodara, and some major cities of Gujarat also. And then the key factors that I noticed were the color, layout, font, and font size are different with respect to the institutes and based on the content and type of information they want to emphasize on. And then next slide. So these were particularly for from the Design Institute. So there is no set template for the adverts or the event promotions.
Yeah.
So the layouts are usually two column or single column if there's much information, and the font varies from ad to ad, and even multiple fonts are used within one single advert. And the hierarchy is tried to achieve with various font size and font weights, and highlighting the main content with a single colored strip or band like you see in the admissions one. And then there's the use of photographs in some, but without a set template or guideline for the text that we
Yeah.
use along with it. And basically, the brand identity is a bit scattered and fragmented and keeps changing with the year.
Very much. Yeah.
Then next slide. So for 2017, it was this color palette, and then for 2018, it was this one. Next slide.
Yeah,
Then
I think the only thing
yeah,
I can see consistent among all of this is that probably there's a use of a
blue.
sans serif font.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, apart from the color palette, I think, just the fact that everywhere there's a sans serif font, but even that I can see is
Changing.
differing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Next slide. So
Okay.
here we see in the middle one on the bottom, there's use of white, and then in the next slide, again there's white, but the blue is not there.
Yeah.
So again these are changed. Next slide. So these were the leaflets and handbooks and prospectus.
Right.
Again, in the same year only, the color palette is different, and even the logo. Next slide. So these were the Instagram handles, and earlier in 2019, they only posted a few pictures of the events happening or the student activity. And in 2020, there's students' work also up there and some promotional content. And in 2021, there's this admission ones, and we can see the use of green there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Next slide. This hasn't changed since the years.
Okay.
Next slide. So this website on the left is the old one, and it was then simplified with the same info, but with addition of some more tabs like semester plan, visiting faculty, etc. in the new one. And the basic page layout is same, but it only differs in I mean the new one, with respect to other institute, the basic layout of the page is same, and it only differs in the information and the content respective to different institutes. So the homepage clearly gives an idea about the department, like discover the design department, and then when we go further, we will find anything that we need to very clearly, and also there's a library section with a search engine.
Okay.
Next slide. Rishita can continue.
So these are the installation on campus. The kite one for is on Sabarmati River to promote the brand. The other two is on campus only.
Mm.
Next. So these are the merchandise. So I've added the timeline 2017, the last picture of a bag, I thought. Next. So this is a portfolio bag, which is even on all the patches.
Okay.
So this is a YouTube page. I thought YouTube has more users than Instagram, and it is a very vast network. So the first one is the official website of Department Design, and the second one the students uploaded their work, like films, videos of campus. Next.
Ma'am, I decided to work on Symbiosis Institute of Design.
Okay.
And after last time's feedback, I tried to look back into all the data that I could get, and I tried closely looking at every poster or every brochure that they had, and then I tried seeing the date when it was uploaded so that I could see when the logo was actually used.
Yeah.
So basically, these are the founders and the creators of the brand of Institute of Design, and they are the main people who are responsible for making the brand and making and promoting the brand to the people, to the outside world, to the people who are not aware of our Institute of Design. And these are the brand promises. Basically, this is the mission and the vision statement which they have taken to look forward to, and that is what drives them ahead working with this brand. For example, can you go back? For example, the mission statement was promoting international understanding through education, through quality education. And the vision was, they have three visions to focus on. Actually, they have more, but these were the three relevant ones right now, and keeping in mind the education factor. So it was to contribute knowledge towards the generation and dissemination, to develop global competencies among students, and to promote ethical and value-based learning. So basically, they are trying to tell the outside world that are they are one of the factors, like, the student who, if the student joins the college, then there will be these advantages to the person, and this is what they look forward to, and these are the ethics and the morals of the college, which is actually something that can be used to enhance the brand image, as these are some things that even the general public look forward to when they're looking for colleges, specifically design colleges, because not every design colleges thrive to promote these missions and visions. Next slide. These are the four logos that have been used. They have been rebranded several times, and it's not like they are not used after these years. For example, this was the oldest ever logo in 2017, then came the one in 2018, then 2019, and 2020. And these are all rebranded into different lockups, and they have been used, all of them are still being used, keeping in mind what kind of a medium they are promoting it through. For example, if it's point branding, then there is the 2019 logo. If there is a poster or a brochure, then it's 2017 and 2018 logo. If it's a greeting, then it's 2020 logo. And next slide. And this is after it has been rebranded, and now they use this logo in 2021. And they've changed the color palette a bit. They only kept the logo type and the and the visual in red. The text below has been turned into black so that there's contrast and it's a little more eye catchy.
I think they've also changed the type completely, right? Like they've gone from
Yes, ma'am.
an Optima to a serif sort of. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Next slide. So this is basically the website. This website has been the same since the start. The way they are promoting their own college or their own brand through the website is they have a 360-degree view in the front and right in the front. So whenever someone logs into the website, then the first thing they can have a look do is have a look at the campus so that they can show the infrastructure to the people who are viewing the college. And then also they are trying to show the courses they offer and the achievements the brand have had in the past. So that is one more way in which it is trying to create some brand awareness and trying to enhance their brand image in front of the people who are trying to uh, take admission into the college, and it kind of enhances its brand value also because it's not every college is having such measures taken to promote itself. For example, I've seen other colleges, they don't really have a 360-degree view of the campus, but this one does, and it's sort of unique to the person who views the campus. So this can also be taken as one of the factors that of promoting the brand. Next slide. And this is the social media handle. And this is over here, they promote everything. All the posters and all the brochures are promoted on the social media, and also the works that exceptionally good works that the students have done are promoted over here. They are quite active on their social media account, specifically on Instagram. On Facebook, they are not that active, but Instagram, they are very active. And then this is also a good way to create brand awareness and drag the viewers towards the college, and it enhances the brand reputation also when they start promoting the works of the students that they have done. Also, there are certain next slide, and there are certain ways in which the students have promoted the brand. For example, over here they have made installations in a way where you can see something like this is seen on a highway. When you go on a highway, you can see there are like these many kilometers away that this place is there. So they try to create something of that sort, and also there is a sense of internationalization in Symbiosis Institute of Design, where the students have been sent abroad at times, not only for internships but also at times they're sent for trips. And this is one more way in which Symbiosis is trying to create some brand awareness and trying to increase its market reach internationally through students only, which is also an efficient way in which I see, because it's basically promoting through the person who they are teaching. So no one would be the better consumer than the student to promote the brand and to give it and to snowball the brand around to the people.
So basically, like looking at the student as a brand ambassador of sorts.
Yes, ma'am, we can say that. We can say that. Next slide. So this is also one of the ways in which they have created brand awareness. It's not only through print media, but also they have made this online and they have posted it online digitally in various places. For example, they've posted it on Instagram, they've posted it on Twitter, on Facebook, just to gain as many viewers, just to attract as many viewers and consumers from the market to promote their brand. And and as you can see in the poster, the usage of the logo has changed. For example, in 2019, it was the logo type where the text was beside the visual, but now they have changed it to only the logo type and the visual. So it depended on the amount of space also that was present in the poster that they were using. For example, over here, they have kept in mind the spacing, and then accordingly they have used the logo type. For example, they use the one with the visual and the text is below the logo, below the visual, keeping in mind the space factor. And also over here, it's indirectly telling the viewers or the consumers that the celebrities are promoting the brand, as these are some big celebrities, as we know, Amitabh Bachchan, and then there's Kiran Bedi also, and then there's Amir Khan also. And as you know, these are all famous people, and just knowing the fact that these famous people have something to do with the college, something to do with the Institute of Design, is a big thing for the people who view these posters and and view these works of the college. So this is also one of the way in which celebrities are promoting the brand. Also, kind of a brand endorsement.
Yeah, I think it basically like is a way to lend credibility to the brand. But it's interesting because I feel like this is aimed more at the general public rather
Yes,
than
ma'am.
the design community itself.
Yes, ma'am. Next one. So these are the major events that have been used as promotional grounds. Like how I said before, they have tried promoting the works of the students in order to gain some brand reputation and enhance the brand image. So this is one of the events in which the students come together, and they have drawing contests where where they sketch different things, and that's that's how the college also enhances its brand reputation. It gives exposure to the students, also to the outside people who if they are interested in the sketches of the students. And they have been doing this since 2014, and we can see how it has evolved. And if we look closely, the logos have there are different logos that have been used in the posters, keeping in mind again the space factor, and also uh, when it had been rebranded. For example, in 2014 was only the visual, but in 2015 it was the visual and the logo type, and the text was on the right. So basically, the markup had changed. And in 2017 it was a different one. The logo was different, but in 2019 again the logo went back to the one which was used in 2015. Next slide. And this is another major event that has been used as a promotional ground. And this is where the people who are interested more in the art and craft culture come together to promote their work in front of the people, to the viewers. And again, as the same purpose as the one before, the college is trying to basically promote its students, and through the students' work, the college is also being promoted. It's like a give and take relationship between the college and the students. Next slide. Then this is also one of the major events where the college is trying to promote itself. For example, this is the in 2018 there was the alumni meet, then there was exhibition, and then there was fashion show. So whenever there is alumni meet, it always promotes it to a level where people see because alumni of this college, as seen as they have promoted, have reached levels where one can only wonder to reach. So that is one of the reasons why alumni are given a lot of importance in this college when it comes to the time of promotion. Also, when there is exhibitions, the works are promoted to a level where the outside world is fascinated by the works done by the students. And also there is fashion show because there is a course called fashion communication and fashion design. So all the works of the students is also portrayed over here. And not only that, the students who did the work, for example, if a person has designed some sort of an outfit, they do a ramp walk you wearing that outfit. And that has been going on till 2020 right now, which is a major event used as a promotional ground. Next slide. And these are the greetings.
Hazel, this is the sorry to interrupt. Hazel, this is the first group, no?
Yes, this is the first group.
Okay. So I was just making, and I'm sorry, my desktop is not working at all. So I had to log in from from the laptop, department's laptop. So therefore the delay in joining. Now, there are a few points that I've made looking at their presentation. So after the first group presents, I'll share those things because the way they are presenting, it could even be more structured. So that they also know what exactly that particular concept of branding stands for. So once the first group presents, and then I'll point out some of those things.
Sure.
These are the greeting posters that they had made. So this is a type of branding where they are trying to enhance their brand image without really creating any brand awareness. That they are not really promoting anything. They are just well wishing the people who view their Instagram page or whoever is looking forward to get into the college, just so that it creates sort of a homey or a family sort of a vibe, so that the people who are viewing the college also feel comfortable when they join the college. So this is one of the ways in which they give a personal touch to the consumers of the college. And again, there have been different logo types used over here. For example, this is a 2020 logo, but in the Happy Holi poster, if you can see, there is 2020 logo, the logo used in 2020, and the old one also. And it has been continued in the next few poster also. Next slide.
So this is Akhil here. So I'm doing about Rhode Island School of Design. So it was founded in 1877 by a group of women, and even like 40 years before the right to even vote in America. So it was at first it was only allowed for women, and the existence of the college was circulated around a community of women in Rhode Island. So these were the first two presidents of RISD. So these were the first group of women who founded RISD, and at the same time they also made a RISD museum where they 1 second, I'm sorry. So later on they also made a museum where they published their students' work. So as we can see, this is the interior of the museum where people are looking at our work. And in terms of sports, RISD played an important role in sport. Like most of their brand recall and brand reputation was through sports. So this was their first football team in 1921. And they had a private beach for RISD members only. And I didn't actually quite get the date when the logo was released, but I'm guessing it's around 1950s or 1960s. So this was the first logo that they've made, and this logo was initially used in a lot of their merchandise, which is still available in their store, like flags, like blankets, even cups and pennants. And even their t-shirts, which is still now being used and is branded by the brand Champion. And later on in the 2000s, specifically around 2012, they came up with a more modern logo, which is Avenir bold font. And so they've used this logo for all the digital publications, especially in their websites. And they even have the Instagram and Facebook page, which has a very big following. Even it's even verified. It has around 61.7k followers, where all of the information and news is being circulated throughout the world. And these were some of the prints I've got, like the digital and the non-print forms of the open house, and even the posters that they post on their social media. And if as you can see, like both of their posters use both the logos even now. And they also have their own magazine, which I showed in the last class. And the new logo is still now being used for merchandise, like in cups and hats. Even they have their own collection runway show. So as I mentioned earlier, the museum is now a very famous museum in USA. It's called RISD Museum, and this was their logo, and this was one of their posters. And this is some of the installations that they've done around Rhode Island and one of the exhibitions. So apart from that, they even have their own store in around Rhode Island, throughout Rhode Island, as a form of brand awareness. So you'll get all the merchandise that was made back in 1950s too. And as I've mentioned, sports play an important role for the awareness of RISD. So this one is a very famous cyclist that is more famous in RISD, and they also have their basketball team and hockey team, which are very famous, which I'm coming through, which has some sensitive content in it. So these are pictures of their hockey team. So basically, their hockey team is called the RISD Nuts. This was their logo, and they have their poster as well, which is circulated throughout Rhode Island. And they also have their basketball team, which are called RISD Balls. I'm just going to leave this here for everyone to interpret. And both the sports, this is where things get weird. Both the sports teams have a mascot, and the mascot name is Crotty. And as you probably might have guessed, you guessed it right, sensitive content ahead. The mascot is, it is what it is. And by saying that, Rhode Island is one of the most famous universities throughout the world. Now I don't know how, and I have trust issues apparently. So that's it for me. Over to Ashna.
So, Royal College of Art is one of the most influential universities for postgraduate programs. So the first logo was used till 2007 and 2013, and the second logo was redesigned in 2013. And there were also colors assigned like. There was clear blind colors assigned like black, blue, and metallic graphite. Next slide. So these are the campus, and this is how the logo is being used on buildings. And next. This is the magazine that was stopped publishing in 1976. So next slide. So this is the logo that's been that's been used around for social media and their YouTube channels, Instagram, and this font is also continued around in buildings. Continue. Next slide. So when they have their shows, this is a event where designers, curators, and artists come together, and they have these series of shows. So this is basically the branding. So each year they change their theme for this event. So this is one of the theme for 2020. This is how they use the font around the building. This is the same font for the logo, which is used in Instagram, DPs, and Facebook. Next. This is the Instagram page so this page is basically used to promote work of artists' work, and so this is the website. So the website usually features the events going around, and right now there's a work in progress event going, and this is mostly an online event. Next slide. So these are the four pages for the four schools in the Royal College of Art. And this is how the brand identity, the modern brand identity, and the logo are used. So, next slide. This is the Instagram page that basically kind of shows how technology and art meets and interacts. Next.
So these are a few older posters where we can see that the logo is not that prominently used, but there is still use of that logo. Next, and there's not a common theme going around. So these are a few later. These are from 2019, and there's little there's next to no follow next to no theme followed here, and use of logo is not compulsory. They usually go with the name of the college mostly. Next slide. So here we can see a kind. The first poster is for the School of Service Design, and the second is for fashion show. The School of Service has a still has and it resembles the
We can't hear you, Ashna.
I think there's some network issues. And so the first poster is from 2013 and is from School of Service Design, and the second one is poster for the fashion show. Next. This is here we can see the modern brand identity being used, like the modern fonts used in RCA logo. That's RCA logo. Next. So this is there's use of this the original logo with the new lockup, and also the RCA logo on merchandise, and they have their own site, Shop RCA. Next. So these are the evolution of master degrees. Like the first one is the oldest, the second one it's not, and the last one is a more recent one. Next. That's it.
I think the first group has finished, isn't it?
Yeah, they're done.
Okay, so
Sakshi was left, but she has some internet connection problem.
okay, so since I was not there, so you can start with giving them feedback, and there are a few things which I noted down. I'll add to it later. Exactly.
Yeah. So I thought that the timeline that you guys put together for the various art schools, colleges, universities, that gave a lot of insight into the progression of something. So whether like they were shortening something because brand recall was there was enough brand recall, or whether they're trying to transition from print to screen, and the whole advent of social media. Where I felt that you guys could have been a little more analytical was in terms of, I think, color palettes and typography, things like that. To be a little more scrutinizing of those things and actually analyze it in terms of that, like even what color and typography is saying about the brand, like whether it's talking about whether it's reflecting the visual identity, is actually reflecting the brand messaging, in terms of, does it have the trickle down effect, or is it getting lost somewhere? So basically, is it doing its job, or is there a lack of it? So I think a little more scrutiny in terms of those things because I think you guys have done a very exhaustive job in terms of like looking at a lot of things, and that in itself has its own benefits. But I think to add a little more scrutiny now to what you're looking at and what is it doing, like what part is it playing in this larger kind of machine. Kanupriya, do you want to?
Yeah, well said, Hazel. I totally agree with what Hazel is saying. Couple of things which I felt that the analysis is still at a very surface level. And see, when we introduce some new concepts, and now you are in semester 4, and I would expect I would expect you all to think on your own also in terms of how do we do analysis. But I realize that because it has not been done, maybe a little bit of outline from our side might be helpful. And maybe some other groups have done it, and we would like to hear from those groups first after I share with you what I would expect or what we would expect in an analysis from you people. New concepts were introduced. We talked about, in our first class, we talked about brand recall. We talked about branding as a whole, brand identity. What does it entail? We talked about brand recognition. We talked about brand architecture, brand awareness, brand strategy, brand ambassador. Today, somebody, I think it was Akhil, used the word brand champion. Then we talked about brand extension. Okay. Now, if such vast branding vocabulary is being introduced to you, so your analysis should have been around that. Which of course did not happen, but it's okay. You could still do an analysis based on some of these broad branding concepts. Like for example, if you're taking any institute, and if we say that they have used multiple mediums, right? Or they've used media such as print, digital, merchandise, they're doing events. And why are they doing that? Because they want to create a brand awareness. Or if they, and when they are constantly present in front of their stakeholders, what they're essentially trying to do is they're trying to create brand recall and recognition. They're strengthening their recognition. Okay. And in terms of identity, Hazel very clearly pointed out to you just a while back that nobody looked at the palettes, color palettes, nobody looked at the typography. What was the key message? And how was it realized in terms of visuals? So this is after having done a very intensive identity design course just a few months back. I think this kind of analysis can be done by you people. Okay, clearly it can be, because all these inputs have been given to you, and we have had a lot of discussions when you all went and researched about different identities and their how the rebranding was done, the kind of color palettes that they used, why it was done. We've done that analysis in part 1. So if you are saying that you have to analyze a brand, you have to look at, especially in terms of identity, because that exposure has been given to you in your Identity 1 course. At least in your brand identity analysis of one of the cases, you should talk about what is the larger message. You should talk about what is the color palette which is being used and why that color palette is being used. Or for that matter, what is the typography? How does it resonate with the brand message? Because selection of typography is also based on your key message. Okay, how does the brand want to position? Again, another word that I'm using, brand positioning. How does the brand want to position itself? Do they want to be remembered as a brand which is modern, which is contemporary, or they want to still identify with some of their older audience and want to go with a traditional sort of look and feel? This is the kind of analysis that we are expecting from you. Even if you are not able to do it very aptly, at least an effort in this direction is expected. Okay, that's how you will start to understand some of these concepts of branding. Okay, now you are using these words: brand equity, brand champion, brand recall, brand strategy, brand recognition. Now take one of these cases. You don't want to do it for all four that you studied. Just take one case and do a detailed analysis. Is what I feel. Hazel, you can add to it if I'm missing a point here.
No,
I felt it was very unstructured.
I think you guys are starting to get into it, like,
Yeah.
especially in terms of Rizdi and Simbi. I think you guys are starting to scratch the surface, but to just kind of spell it out for you guys, we're looking for a little bit critical thinking in that okay, Simbi uses Optima, and so that's like a semi-serif. And what does that do for the brand versus using, then they transition to a serif? I think these things become very important, like they might seem like nuances, but they're not. Even the Royal College of Art, transitioning from a slab serif to, a very condensed, bold, like literally a black RCA. So these are the things that I want you guys to start decoding now, literally looking at why these decisions have been made by them, like, and do they do anything for the brand, or is there a lack of it? And the same in terms of color,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And adding to what just Hazel said, that why such a bold black typeface? It could be for strategic reasons, or it could be for visual reasons. Something is so boldly visible that it will help create a brand recall. This is the kind of analysis that we are expecting. And internet may not be entirely helpful in this. Your own version is what is expected, that okay, we think that this is very bold and this will not go missing. People will definitely notice it. That is why probably they use such a bold typeface. This is the kind of analysis, critical thinking that we expect from you.
Yeah, I think we're looking for exactly like what Kanupriya said, like your own interpretations of. So basically, like somebody said that Rizdi used accidents grotesque, and that's a typeface with very square proportions. And what does that do? Like you're going back to your associations with basic shapes. Like if you want to represent stability, like you use something that was square. So like these are the kind of things we want you guys to get into. And if you look at the RCA logo type, the current one, they have like a very compact, tall sort of typeface versus something that is more extended or even regular. And why is that happening? What does that say about the brand? Clearly, because all of these decisions have been taken, it's a trickle-down effect of the overarching umbrella of brand messaging, right? Same for the color palette, same for the use of graphic elements. Like if Symbiosis is still sticking to that sort of, it's a pretty busy circular look, I don't know, the mark sort of thing. Like, why are they still sticking to that? Why do you think that?
So, just to help them out, what I feel is that some of these concepts that were introduced to them, first of all, what was the first thing that we talked about? We talked about a brand, then we said branding, then we said brand identity, then we said brand recognition, brand recall, brand strategy, brand champions, brand ambassadors, brand extension, brand equity. These are the concepts that we introduced. So first of all, we expect you to understand what it is. Okay, so you could do your own research and read about it and write about it in your documentation. And why I'm saying in your documentation, and also while I was listening to you people, I felt that I'll share with you what the previous batch had done, and the kind of documentation which is expected from this batch also. You're just showing some photographs on screen which we've seen earlier also, but there's no analysis which is written there. So when you do a documentation of the course, you have to write everything down, because if anybody picks up this documentation that is being done by you, should be able to open it and see, okay, how this is how the course was done. This is what the journey of the students was. This is what the trajectory of things went about. So this is something that we expect from you. So I'll share that documentation with you. However, what I personally feel what needs to be done is that take all of these concepts. Even if you need to read a couple of case studies, you write in your own words, what do these concepts mean? Okay, and then taking each of these branding concepts, do an analysis of just one case study. One case, sorry. Okay, it could be any case, one of the 4 cases that you studied in your first class. It could be any. Okay, it could be Simbi, it could be, Royal College of Art, Christie, anything. You take one and do a detailed analysis. Like when you're saying brand ambassador, who are the possible brand ambassadors in that particular case? For example, they may be using their own students as brand ambassadors, or they may be using the alumni as brand ambassadors, or they may be using a celebrity as a brand ambassador. That's the kind of first, but then before you do that, you need to first read about each of these terms, what they mean, write them in your own language in your document, and then relate it to that one case. Okay. Are you getting my point? I want to hear from the class.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Has anybody done an analysis like this? Any group?
See, I don't know, to put it very plainly, what I would literally do, like if I was in audience, I would look at the overall, brand messaging. So we talked about, the last time we talked about brand, visual identity and logo, right? So that's exactly how I would start analyzing it. I would look at the overall brand messaging. Then I would come down to the visual identity. What does the visual identity have? It has the logo, it has the type, it has color. And look at each one of these, related back to brand, come back to the next one. So that it's kind of like you're verifying it at each stage. Like, how is this reflective of the brand messaging? What are I think basically you're just asking a lot of whys. Like, why has this been done? What is the context around it? What is the content around it? So,
yeah, makes sense.
It's actually a very interesting exercise.
Yeah, actually makes sense. Now, if they start with the brand identity, and if they segregate the brand identity in like these 4 parts, which we already discussed, brand messaging, which is the main thing, because that brand messaging will percolate in everything. So brand messaging, then the logo. In the logo also they have to look at the symbol, the type, logo type, the colors, and then the colors, how they have been used in the identity system. When I'm saying identity system, it is being used on the website, it is being used on the marketing collaterals, the merchandise, print media, posters, that color palette is being continued. That type is being continued. The typographic styles are being continued. So then you look at the color palette and the type. If you divide it like this, in terms of brand identity, and then try to relate all of these concepts: brand recall, brand recognition, brand strategy, brand awareness, all of these. And before you start relating, you have to first read about each of this concept, write about each of this concept in your own words. What do they stand for? And then start connecting it to your brand. Okay, take one case. Just take one case, don't take all 4 of them. Because I just noticed, and when I looked at all of these 4 case studies, you've done a good job. It's definitely a leap ahead from what you've done earlier, which is really appreciable because the class is responding to what we are telling, what we are discussing in the class. So which means you are attentive. To see these are the positive points. You are attentive. You're paying attention, and you're taking interest. I mean, I'm really happy to see that the class is responding positively to what is being discussed in the during the sessions. But at the same time, you have to learn to now structure things. Okay, so structure it this way. If you have any questions, ask now. You don't ask questions. Last time I assumed that you would have got some clarity. Ask questions if you need clarity, because we'll give you time to do this. We'll give you 2 hours to do this. Now.
I think, for example, like Akhil, what you brought up about the RISD sports teams and their kind of play on, I'm just going to leave it there. But that says something about the brand. Like, it says that there's an element of being disruptive, and that kind of being disruptive and adding is just going to add profoundly to the brand recall versus doing something very serious and something that's been done before. So like I appreciate the fact that you dug that out, but now I want you guys to see what does that say about them, like, and how do they see themselves, and more importantly, how do they want you to see them, given that they're taking this route.
I can share last time's documentation with you just to give you a sense of how intensive this whole course is going to be, and ask questions at the right time so that the time, our course time doesn't get wasted and there is no sort of repetition in terms of your efforts. 1 second, I'll just share my screen. 1 second, give me a moment. Just to share last time's documentation. श्वेता बहन एक बार
যে HTML এর সাথে যে CSS কোডটা লিখছিস, ওই CSS কোডে তুই যে লিখিস না ফন্ট সাইজ, ফন্ট এক্সেট্রা, ওইখানে তুই দেখবি বেশিরভাগ সাইটে তোর sans serif লেখা থাকে। ওইটাই হচ্ছে তোর কি ফন্ট ইউজ করেছিস, কোনটা ইউজ করেছিস ওখানেই লেখা থাকে, HTML কোডে পাবি না।
So, can you all see my screen? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
This is just to give you an idea about how intensive this is going to be. 1 second. So this is the, oh sorry, I opened the guideline. 1 second. I'll keep this open. I'll open another document. Give me a minute. See, I'm first sharing the documentation with you and then I'll share a sample guideline with you. This is the documentation by one of the groups and this has been done by 2017 batch. So these are the group members. And they rebranded Nirma University. So their task was rebranding Nirma University and I'm just quickly sharing the document with you. This is a document of one group. So there were about 7 groups in the class and each group had a proposal for rebranding Nirma University. They also did a very detailed brand guideline. This is the research and you also started with this kind of research. So everything is going to go in a document like this. It's going to be a very detailed document. This is double-sided. So every student wrote a brief and then there was a final brief. And then they did these case studies which you already done in your previous course. Rebranding case studies. With their analysis. And these are the, now each student started individually exploring how the visual identity is going to be. Now if each student did this independently, see, now these are the explorations by individual students. Everything has been put in that document of the group. with the concept notes. And then how it evolved. The same process that you followed last year, the entire process needs to be visible in that one single document. These are all individual students and their proposals. And this is what was finally taken ahead by the group. Then this group came together and they started working on how to develop a system based on this particular identity that they design. Now look at the further explorations in black and white, color, working out the lockups, horizontal lockup, vertical lockup. So all this is happening along with concept notes and their own analysis. Color palette, deciding the color palette for the subsets and for the main brand. Now how the logo is going to be used. So developing all collaterals, and this was done in original sizes. Last year we allowed you to not really go for the original sizes, but in this case, because you're also going to be doing the identity guide, you have to design everything in the original size. So for example, if it's like a bill, a fee receipt, then it has to be in its original size, because you have to mention those sizes in your identity guide. Right? See. Then marketing, collaterals, whatever possibilities are there. Last time you did it just to understand how to extend the identity and create, just to get some sense of how to create a system. This is actual work. This is where the group will be thinking that, okay, this is what Department of Design actually needs. This is what needs to be done for print. This is what needs to be done for marketing collaterals. You have to identify the opportunities. Okay, you have to identify what are the possible opportunities. How should Department of Design needs to be branding itself? How should we extend the identity system? So here the group will be doing a lot of thinking. So all the things which the group thought would be needed by Nirma University has been created in its original size, and the identity system has been created. See, they felt that, okay, there are a lot of giveaways during events, during New Year's, Diwali. They created those things. They felt that badges would be needed at the time of events, or identity cards would be needed, or Nirma should have their own t-shirts or hoodies. So they've identified all those opportunities and they created folders, mugs as giveaways, or even, within the department, some of these things would be different institutes, some of these things would be used. Now how I can show you more. Some groups have done some things well and some other groups have done some other things well. These are the scrolls, which Nirma has all across the campus. How the subsets are using different colors. So they designated colors to each subset, institutes. Caps for each institute, each subset. For each subset, they've done like a color palette. So here in this case, the subsets were the different institutes which Nirma has. Institute t-shirts for their own events and how the branding has been continued. Hoodies. Social media. Outdoor. You see that? How it's going to look like when it's put outside the building. You have all of these installed on campus. So all of this, they have translated it into a visual just for us to understand how this is going to look like. See? Institute of Management. Outdoors again. This is for one group. And then there was a detailed brand guide which also again I can share with you for another group which is open at the moment. One second. So this is another group's brand guideline. So all that they've designed has gone into a brand guideline. So these are the contents of the brand guideline. About Nirma University, vision, mission, brand basics. This is another group. This is not the same group. So this was the final identity proposal by another group. So all the do's and don'ts. That's why we asked you last time to download one of the identity guidelines of one of the cases that you studied. So how the logo is going to be constructed. Now this is something that you've done last time also. Safe space around the logo. How they determine that safe space. Horizontal lockup, vertical lockup. The don'ts. How it is going to be used in black and white, darker surface, lighter surface. I think I'll stop here, Hazel, because they've got some sense, right?
Yeah, I think this is pretty exhaustive actually.
So, I mean, and this, I can, at a later date or time, I can share another document with you in which they have, in fact, everything that we did in the class, every discussion that we had in the class, right from day one, was documented, and the students wrote about their learning and their journey in their own words. It can't be just these pictures and you talking about it. You also have to think in context of that we have to do very detailed documentation of the course. And this has to start from day one because you start forgetting. You'll start, I'm telling you, and with my experience, I know everybody starts to document on the last day or the last 2 days, and they can't remember how the journey has been because these are long courses. This is almost like 25 days long course. So you can't leave it to the last minute. You have to start doing right in the beginning. And you as a group has to take a call who is going to be doing what. That is why we've created these groups with different skill sets. Some people, but of course, a lot of things need to be discussed within the group, and decisions need to be taken collectively so that in terms of learning, everybody is at par. But, for example, if you've taken this decision about say writing about brand recall, brand recognition, but two people who are you all have an understanding of what this means, but 2 to 3 people who are good at writing can actually articulate it. Others can contribute to the layout of the document, depending on your skill sets. But this has to happen parallelly. It can't be left to last minute. So while you are doing a deeper analysis, you all have to parallelly start thinking of your documentation as well. And this you have to think in terms of a physical document, not a digital document. Okay, so you decide a size, create a grid right in the beginning, and start creating this document based on that grid, which will be followed in that document. I mean, right from the first page to the last. How your pictures are going to be appearing, whether it's going to be a 2-column grid or a 3-column grid or a single column grid, how you're going to place the photographs, whether you're going to follow a modular grid to put your photographs, or it will be like a non-grid kind of a thing. But that decision needs to be taken right in the beginning because you are also communication designers. So you have to think of multiple things, even for your document. You can't say that, okay, this is an identity design course, so we are not going to plan a document. Enough inputs are being given to you in your typography and layout design course, and you have to apply it in your document. You have to apply it in your brand guide. We can't segregate. We can't look at things in silos. So we can't segregate. You have to apply whatever that you've learned so far in all your work that you're going to do in this course as well. And this is the kind of expectation that we have, that you're going to bring it all together and not look at things in silos.
Yeah,
And I thought Hazel, I thought it was important for them to see because again I saw those pictures. I didn't see a written analysis in any of their slides. They're talking about it, it's in their head, but they have to document the course.
I think around maybe with Symbiosis and the earlier Nirma thing, which I don't know if you saw, but I think there it had started to emerge, in terms of like the timeline and starting to analyze it a little bit. I think, like you said, a deeper level of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So if they have not done the analysis that the way we just discussed, do you think it's appropriate, Hazel, to give them some time to do it that way?
Of course.
Because they're again going to be showing what we saw on the first 2 days.
Yeah.
Rather the second day. The second day.
The second day.
So it has to go a little deeper and it has to be structured. And it has to be structured because if it's not structured, they will, towards the end of the course, when we ask them pointed questions, they will not be able to recall anything because there's no structure to their learning.
Yeah.
So to put things in structure, it's very important that they start now.
Absolutely. I think another way to look at it is that, if you had a client who you were presenting a case study to who has no design vocabulary, like how would you break it down for them? How would you talk about it as a brand? How would you talk about it as a visual identity? How would you literally structure it so that, this person builds their vocabulary and understands the case study at the same time?
And they have to think of us as also people who don't know anything. They have to educate us. They have to think that they're talking to people who don't know anything. Everything has to be there on your screen. Everything has to be thought of. Don't think of us and don't assume that we will understand. We will not. We won't expect you to make us understand. That's how you have to think of your clients also, that they don't know anything. You have to tell them every single detail.
Does this make sense, you guys? Can we have a sense of, are there any questions? Is anybody feeling stuck? Or are you guys good to go?
Documentation, do we have to follow?
Lipi, can you please switch on your video, please? At least when you're talking, you must switch on your video. Lipi? Okay, somebody else. Lipi probably has gone to comb her hair.
Is anyone else have any questions, any kind of points of discussion?
When they switch on their videos, this is what happens. Can't hear you.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
do we have to work on only single colors right now?
That's exactly what we are saying. That 1 second. That's exactly. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you could take just one case and do a detailed study. You don't have to do all 4. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, I had a question. It's not related to the assignment. Like our seniors have done such amazing work with the NU logo, but I want to know why the university hasn't considered it.
See, we did make a presentation to the senior management and they loved the work. Absolutely love. And this I'm talking about the Director General and the Executive Registrar of Nirma University. They absolutely loved the work but they said that this is going to take some time. And hopefully they will remember one day and they'll call us back and they'll say, okay, this is what we like and this is what we want you to work further on. I'm hoping that day comes soon. We did make a presentation to them and they were absolutely thrilled to see the kind of work students had been able to do. They were thrilled to see. But I hope.
Ma'am, I have another doubt.
Yeah, Vedi.
Ma'am, so right
I think your voice is breaking up. I can't understand anything.
Ma'am, can I type it in the chat?
Yeah, sure.
Now you're audible.
Can I say it again?
Just type it. We'll figure it out once you type it. Can someone say something?
Lippy, what took you so long? Honestly.
There was like the signals are only going and there was no signal coming in, so I was like talking but no one was speaking. So
You guys, I can't wait to use this for my next client presentation. It'll be like, oh, but my network, oh, but my signal, but. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, go on.
ma'am, just to confirm, one person, one brand, or the whole group as a one brand can.
I think whole group. What do you think, Hazel? I think whole group one brand, they'll be able to do justice. Otherwise,
Yeah, I think divide that also among yourselves, like who's looking at what part of. I think that's how probably you'll end up getting the most detailed version of the. What do you think, Anupriya?
yeah, I think only one brand. I think Hazel, what Hazel is saying makes sense. You can divide work within your group. You can decide who's looking at what. You can, I mean, two people in the group can look at the visual identity part. The other two can look at something else. I mean, you all take a call. And what we could suggest, me and Hazel, that you do like a basic framework first, and after lunch, and that you have to work out very quickly that this is how we are going ahead with this with our analysis. Quickly discuss after lunch with us, and so that tomorrow when you come back or in the evening when we look at it. All of us are on the same page. So there are no differences in terms of what we are expecting you to do and what you actually do.
I think Vaidehi has put her question as well, which is I think similar.
Also now, like any specific documentation size that we have to look into for the documentation.
See, maximum I feel that A4 is a good enough size.
Yeah.
And you could look at, it's a standard size as well, because if we start discussing how do you decide a paper size, I don't think we have time for that. But a standard size like an A4 is, I think, good enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just makes life much easier. And also, if this is Kanupriya, are they going to end up printing this eventually?
Yeah, actually, we expect them to print it.
So then just, you guys just make sure that like if it's going to be spiral bound and it's a horizontal document, then what is the kind of side of binding? Just consider all these things before you start, because it's going to be very painful redoing it, when you have to print it.
Binding, you have to write from the beginning. You should be clear what kind of binding it is going to be, whether it's going to be spiral bound or whether it's going to be perfect or center stitch. You have to take that decision right in the beginning. Okay, you all have been introduced to some of these things, no? You've had a binding workshop, right? And you also had a typography and layout course. I'm sure you all know what we are talking about.
I think so. I think in addition to just figuring out the framework, just figure out like what kind of document, what kind of binding, what are your margins, what is the grid you're working with. Just figure out like these basics among yourselves. So I think that just makes everything much clearer.
And you know why we are doing this? And why we are not straight away jumping to designing the identity? You all know why we are doing this?
And to understand how different brand works and according to the context of the stakeholders.
Yeah, that is one thing. And
Branding aspect, like some brands just on loyal tribe, come just on mass. Then understanding the competition and how our brand will differentiate from other. How to hide the content, like many of the brands that
which part is she referring to?
I'm assuming the
Case study analysis.
case study analysis or the just the overall document. Yeah, I'm not very sure which part. Okay.
You all decide the time. We are quite open because we want your learning to be visible. Because unless this is clear and some of these concepts are understood well, you won't be able to do justice to the later part of the course.
So think of what time you need to do, justice to an actual analysis, which means interpreting your research. What is the time that you're looking at so that you can do justice to it?
So you want today, you want half a day, tomorrow, you all take a call. But it has to be very detailed and it has to be done together as a group. And when you work in a group, it's always helpful that one person either will decide who the leader of the group is going to be, as a one person who would be responsible for the timelines or bringing the group together. The group can decide, or automatically one person assumes the role of a leader and takes the responsibility. You all take a call on that. Somebody has to be the face of that group who tells us, okay, this is where we are, we need more time, and within the group also who helps in creating a timeline, structuring things within the group, communicating with the group members. Somebody has to take that responsibility.
Like a facilitator of sorts. So how much time would you guys like?
So I think if it's difficult for them to decide, Hazel, we can only give them a timeline, which we think is appropriate. Somebody's saying something.
Vaidhi.
Yeah, Vaidhi.
Yeah, ma'am, I was saying if we have to design a whole language in which we will follow the document, then I think today's time will be okay. We can
Need
finish
to
it by today.
Yeah, sure, you can have that kind of time, but we want you to first work out a framework for your analysis. Okay, how you're going to be doing your analysis, which we've given you an idea about it, right? But just do a quick framework that this is how we are going to proceed and show it in the second half.
Yeah, I think post lunch, let's just quickly go through that.
Yeah,
so that tomorrow you guys don't have to sit and rework anything, or
exactly.
like let's just treat it like a sketch stage. You run the framework by us, we chat about it, and then you guys can proceed. And if you come up with any questions in the meantime.
Yes, ma'am, we can do that.
Yeah, and about the document also, you all take a collective call, and if somebody is ready post lunch, we can discuss. However, I mean, in terms of the layout of the document, that can still happen by tomorrow
Yeah,
or day after
for
tomorrow.
sure.
But at least the contents, in terms of starting with point A, moving to point B, everything has to be structured like what you did in your earlier class. And what was the reason for doing that? What were the concepts which were introduced to you all in the first class? All that has to start going in your document parallelly. Otherwise, you'll forget. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, great.
So, anybody else?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, so as of now, we've do an in-depth, like a case study of that single brand college and not a comparative study between that and Nirma, right?
Yeah, that comparison is going to happen later, definitely.
Yeah.
When we map opportunities for your own department of design, what are the possibilities that will happen later?
Yeah.
And what you're essentially going to be doing then is like a visual kind of research, which you're doing now also partially.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else?
Please ask questions for clarity. You all have understood then. I mean, I would assume that you all have understood and it's clear what is it that we are expecting you to do.
Yes, ma'am. I think if we have any doubts, we can tell you at that point.
So, should we then, Hazel, what do you think we should do? Should we let them start working or should we look at what one of the groups has done? If anybody has done an analysis based on the outline that we've given them now.
I think maybe they'd like a little time to talk it out amongst themselves. What do you think?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm absolutely okay with it.
Then they can, probably collect their thoughts, and we can take a look at the, their preliminary sort of structure. And I think maybe they might have more questions or more things that spark a discussion at that time.
Sure. So then when do we meet again? Because they would need time to have lunch and also have like a discussion. So should we? It's 11:35 at the moment. Should we meet after an hour and a half?
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
What do you all think?
Is one okay with you guys? Is that enough time?
Ma'am, do we have to show anything at hour and a half, or can we just explain what we are going to do?
Yeah, that's what.
Just talk. I mean, it's just to talk about like how you guys are going in, right, Kanupriya?
Absolutely, yeah, Hazel.
Yeah, I think then it's fine.
Yeah, it's just you'll get some time to discuss with your group members how you're going to do your analysis, which case study are you going to be taking forward, whether one of the 4 that you've already studied works or you want to take something fresh. I mean, all those decisions you will be taking. And then what will be the framework for your analysis? How will you bring in all these concepts of branding in your analysis? These decisions need to be taken. Who's going to be doing what? Planning your document. Is it okay if we meet at 1?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure? Okay. Thumbs up kar do chalo if you don't want to speak. We don't mind. Brilliant. See, everybody is doing thumbs up.
Yay, participation. Okay.
So, are you going to create your own links and meet online within your groups now? And should we end this meeting? Obviously, you can't do it here because everybody is on this link. So you'll have to create separate links and meet online.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah? So I'm now, Hazel, I'm ending the meeting.
Yeah.
We can, if you are coming to Block C, I have all these documents open on my system. So do have a look.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
Yeah.
All right. See you guys at 1.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.